I had a friend who was like a genius with basketball, tennis. He would bet ping pong. And I think those are the most rigged games in the world. The times that I've made bets where it's a total blowout, it's a 3-point game, but they win by 20. I don't even think that's ever happened. Maybe one time in my life.
So when you're putting 250,000 on a game, the line's moving, right? How does that work?
What we needed to bet, you needed 150 bookmakers. And I'm not betting $100 a game. I'm not betting $1,000 a game. I'm betting a lot more than that.
What would you consider like a large bet when you first started? Like what was your large bet?
5,000, 6,000, 8,000 on a game. As long as you take the best of the number, what's going to happen is you're going to burn the bookmaker up. You're going to beat him up, and
he's going to leave you.
Get for too much in the end.
Right.
Kicked out. We got kicked. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten.
Did you ever put action on a game that you knew was fixed?
I have bet a game that I believe to be fixed.
Hey Moguls, if you're genuinely getting value out of this conversation and you enjoy the content that we put out, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to hit like and subscribe. This allows me and my team to continue to put out content for you, whether you're a beginner or you're a mogul. We want to be a part of your journey and helping you get to the next level. But let's get to it.
Let's start at the beginning,
Look,
Alan.
I've been here for 2 hours already waiting for you.
Yeah.
Lord knows what you were doing.
Right. I was feeding my son. I have a responsibility.
Good.
All right, Alan, listen. Here's what I want to know. When did you start gambling, and how did you start gambling?
Good question, Brad. I'll just give you a quick start of where I started from. My dad, we grew up in upstate New York, and I would sit and watch football with my dad as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and I would see him betting games, and he would tell me that he needs the Jets +4, so I was introduced to point spreads. And inevitably, every Sunday, he lost. And every Tuesday, we would drive to the Supersonic car wash, which was the car wash in town, and he would pay his bookmaker, and maybe out of every 10 weeks, he won 1, 2, but he just lost every week. Just lost. Bet teasers, parlays, whatever. He couldn't win.
Oh, he really did it up.
He won.
It wasn't straight bets.
He had one bookmaker, and he lost, but he was my dad, so, I thought I learned a little bit from him, but I didn't. So I went to college.
Were you gambling? When did you start gambling? Did you use that same bookie, by the way, ever?
No.
Okay.
No.
When did you, what was your
my
first
dad's bookie? I was a kid. I was 13 or 14.
What was your first bet?
My first bet started probably right after college.
Okay.
So I went to college, I graduated, I went to an Ivy League school, graduated with a degree in engineering.
Ivy Leaguer.
Chemical engineering.
Ivy Leaguer.
Ivy Leaguer, geological engineering. Then I moved back to my hometown, and I hooked up with one of my best friends still today, and he showed me how to, this was back pre-internet, pre-cell phones, and he showed me what he does and how he bets sports and how he won. And he lived up in New York State, upstate New York, and he also lived down in Florida. So
was there a system that he had, or was it just okay?
Yes.
What's this? Give me the secret. Give me the secret sauce.
We want the intel.
We're about to see some secrets.
So what he would do is
Mike would have skipped over
this big sheet of paper, and he would call up. This is again, but pre-internet, pre-everything. He would call up the 2 New York mob offices and get a rundown of
allegedly. There's no mob, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but he would call up the New York offices, and on an NFL Sunday. And he would write down the lines of these 2 sharp offices. What makes them sharp? They take big bets. They don't kick anyone out, and they take on all comers. They're just that's the definition of a sharp office. And there was a couple of them in New York. And he would just get all the numbers from these 2 offices, and they were pretty much in line. So, for example, Miami was a 5-point favorite at this office, and they were a 5-point favorite at the other office. And then 2 minutes later, we'd call back again, and now they're a 4-point favorite. And they're playing, say for example, they're playing the Jets. So we'd call all the people that we had. He had maybe 10 or 15 bookmakers, local guys that didn't even have 800 numbers, just, again, sitting in their room office, booking to their local area, Pompano, Saratoga, wherever they lived.
He'd find that half point,
and he would take +5 on a game that is now 4.
Got it.
By the sharp offices had 4. He would take +5, and as much as he could. And because these guys didn't move the line, these slow pokes. Now, this is 35 years ago. That's done. That's over.
Right.
This is pre-internet, pre-phone. So he would just sit, and I did the same thing. We'd call up numbers, no totals. I have favorites. We'd write down numbers. The New York office knew, they would just repeat 15 numbers in a row. We had the favorites, 2, 6, 9, 4, 8, 2.5. And we'd write down all the numbers and just bet all the people that had off numbers. And that was it. Off numbers lose.
Do you know what's funny? And I will tell you something that's very funny. I have a friend that will remain anonymous that knows when they have weird numbers. So he looks for them, even with the internet. Sumo wrestling, regular WWE, he looks for the weird numbers. And like sometimes overseas, there'll be a weird number, or he'll see that the numbers are not matching up.
Yeah.
He'll bet the shit out of them.
That's right.
And he crushes it. But what he has to do is he has to play it slow. So like he'll bet at the Venetian, he'll bet at Caesars, and he has to turn those tickets in slow because he doesn't want to turn them all in. And they'll be like, oh shit.
And then the number moves.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is still, to some extent, that play still exists.
Right.
To some extent, but not as great as it was back when there was no internet. But you'll still find that sometimes with some bookies that will be off by a half a point, but they don't move it as quick. So the information that changes faster now,
Yeah.
but people are still lazy. So sometimes you'll miss a half a point,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to get it.
I remember call him Freddie. I would call him, and you brought back a vivid memory of picking up the phone and having to call a guy and place a bet. And I'd call and I'd say, hey, what do you got on the Heat today? And he'd say, -2. I say, okay, I'll call you back in a second. And then I call him again and I say, hey, what do you got on the Heat? He'd say, -3, because he thinks I want to bet it. So he'd move it by what I asked. So I got smart to that every time he did. I said, so what do you got on the Heat? He said, they're +3.5 now. So I go the other way and think I was outsmarting him. You know what I'm saying?
Did you win? Probably not.
I never won.
Yeah.
I'm the worst gambler in the world.
I know. I can see it on you.
Off numbers lose, and that's it. They've lost 35 years ago. They lose today.
Right.
If you can beat the closing line or the consensus line, which is on this game that we're talking about is four. If you can take +5, you're going to win.
Right.
If you can lay 3, you're going to win. It doesn't really matter. I prefer to be on a dog, but as long as I have an off number from what the right number is, I'm going to win. You're going to win. And it's not so easy.
Back then, what would you consider like a large bet when you first started? Like, what was your large bet?
5,000, 6,000, 8,000 on a game, whatever I could get down.
Pretty substantial, right?
Substantial.
Because he was winning.
No.
This is back in the pre-internet. This is the
Yeah.
late 80s. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty substantial in the late 80s.
Right.
Did you ever bet any through, like, did you ever go to Vegas and bet the lines in Vegas? No, it was always that way.
we sat on my partner's mother's condo in Delray, and we just called these New York offices,
Right.
and we just bet off numbers.
Was
off
that your
numbers.
full-time job at the time?
No, that was his full-time job. He's
Right.
never worked a day in his life.
Oh, okay.
But no, that was not my
Sounds like
full-time.
Mike.
So
Let's get to the juicy stuff. Brad's
Okay.
talking 5,000-6,000 a game, and he's impressed.
Because I want to get this.
I was
Well,
with
we're
Alan
kinda-
when he was
we're kinda
doing
going
it.
in a
We're working up
chronological.
to it. We're
Yeah.
working. This guy, he doesn't believe in foreplay. I'm working up to it. I want to hear.
Do I believe in foreplay?
I want to hear how this develops. So now
Sometimes
you're
you're
in
right.
college.
Sometimes he's right.
I'm
I
out
just
of
want to get
college.
to the point.
Yeah.
I just want to get it over with.
I'm out of college. Well,
Yeah.
I skipped a step. I'm out of college. Before I start, I go into business with my dad, but he sets me up with my first bookmaker, Nate.
Your dad does.
My dad.
Okay.
Long
Great
dead.
dad, by the way.
Long dead.
It's serious.
He sets me up with
Good
my
for
first
that guy.
bookmaker,
Good guy.
and I figure, you know what, I can beat. I'm better than my dad. I can do this. So he sets me up. Within 6 weeks of the NFL season, I lose, I don't know, 5 of the weeks maybe. I was basically done after 1 o'clock games. I couldn't even bet the 4 o'clock games. I went through all my bar mitzvah money. I was done. Total done. So then I meet my friend, my friend Jay, and he shows me what to do, taking these New York offices, and he had like 15, 20 bookmakers. He was always cultivating bookmakers. You can't do it with one bookmaker.
Right.
You need
You have to
multiple
multiples.
bookmakers.
That's the only way to make
right.
money.
Just add bookmakers. Fine. Like if you had a bookmaker, I'd say, Brad, who's your bookmaker?
Right.
And you
And you just keep,
introduction,
right.
and Brian, who's your bookmaker? And I would just
Cultivate.
as many outs,
Because you
they're
want to
called
keep,
outs. Right.
He's referring to
Maybe
the
they had
other
opinions on
Brian in the
games.
house who's another
Maybe they had
degenerate.
opinions. Maybe they were all slow to the move. If the New York offices moved, they took their line. Who knows where they got the opening line from? They just
Right.
sat with it.
right.
It was stale news. It was
Right.
old news.
They weren't
they were
keeping up
dealing-
with
They
it.
were dealing in off
So
numbers.
what was the best year that you had after you started to learn this technique?
Well, I don't know how. I didn't really keep track that much because
Right.
like I said before, if you're taking off numbers, you're going to win
Right.
with really no opinion. No opinion. You don't.
Were
have
you
to-
going out buying Cadillacs for coats?
No.
No.
No. I'm
Just
not.
keeping.
No,
keeping
his dad taught him
No.
don't buy anything.
yeah. So you kept it quiet.
Right. As
And
long as you have take the best of the number, what's going to happen is you're going to burn the bookmaker up. You're going to beat him up, and
he's going to
you don't
leave
get
you.
stiff for too much in the end. And
Right.
get kicked out. We got kicked. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten
They just say, "Hey, we've had enough."
enough. You win, uncle.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
But then
Because they're small time guys.
Then they're taking 500 a game or 1,000. Then we
Right.
try to get back in. You know, we're never going to take no for an answer.
Right.
We still try to get back in.
But do they realize the action coming in is smart?
They might eventually realize that, hey, I've got 30 people.
By that time, you've beat them.
I've got 30 people on my sheet, my list. I have 30 customers, and
Right.
you're the only one that's winning. Wait a minute. So let me just get rid of you. But then I say, listen, why don't you just use the information that I'm giving you for my $1,000 or $1,500 bet, whatever his limit was, and move your line. If you think I'm so sharp, use that information to your advantage.
Right.
Sometimes they took my advice, sometimes they did, but we still never took no for an answer.
Right.
Still trying to get back in because they still were, schmucks sitting in a little apartment with sale numbers. We did not take no
Like
for
Brad.
an answer.
And then so eventually you start moving up the food chain.
Well, eventually they started drying out. I mean, there's only some, we're betting limits, 3 or 4 games that move. We just bet the limit with them. And,
Right.
Eventually they're going to dry out and we're going to beat them up. So eventually now the internet comes in and everyone's moving to
Online gambling.
online gambling. In the
Do you ever
Caribbean.
play the middle?
No.
Okay.
Never.
So I had a client that used to play the middle.
No, we don't know.
This was back
But
in the
you can
day.
middle, we just
This
don't
was
do it.
back in the day when internet first started.
Right.
And what was interesting was all these online gaming places, now they're back. But when they first opened, they were kind of in the gray area before they said, hey, listen, you can't gamble online in Massachusetts and Florida. They started eliminating. They were running out of Costa Rica and Colombia and all these different places. And what they would do is they'd offer you $500 on your first bet, $600 on your first bet to entice you. And there was hundreds of them. I mean, they opened up 10, 20, 30. They send you, prepaid cards, or there was different ways to pay you because it wasn't technically legal. So what this one client would do is sit in his room with his brother, who was like a savant.
An arbitrage.
Yeah, arbitrage. And just start betting the middles, betting against each other. And if it hit the middle, they'd win both bets. If it didn't, they'd win one, lose one, but it was free $500 until they got burned. And then people started shutting them down, but they kept doing it. They probably made a couple $1,000,000 in like 2 years.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the play. There's always a play, even when the internet came around and people started changing, the way they did things. So how did you change how you did it when the internet started?
So the internet started and there was you had a computer screen with all the different bookmakers. What happened was bookmakers started getting busted in Chicago, Los Angeles.
Sure.
And what did they do? They moved to the Caribbean. They went to
Right.
Costa Rica, Jamaica,
There you go.
Curacao. And what did they bring with them? What they brought with them were their customers from Chicago, their customers from Los Angeles. So now there's bookmakers that are all moving to the Caribbean and they have their customers and they're trying to get more customers, whatever they're doing, they're trying to build their business. But their lines were invariably shaded. If a Chicago bookmaker moved to the Caribbean, the line on the Bears might be, if the consensus line was 4, they might use 4.5 or 5 because their people would bet Chicago no matter what. So all these people were moving down to the Caribbean and it was like, the sky was falling. It was wonderful. And there was 2 ways to bet with these companies. And even the sharp New York offices, the mob offices, whatever you want to call them, they also moved. And they're still in business.
Right.
If they existed. They're now in Costa Rica and in Curacao and wherever. So they moved down too. And they were still an invaluable tool, but we could see their lines now. We didn't have to call them up. We could see their lines. And there were still people, obviously in the States, booking, and now dumb bookmakers in the Caribbean that didn't really know what they were doing. They just moved to the Caribbean, still off numbers.
And still making money.
Still making money. And we still did the same thing.
And your normal job that you had, you didn't at any time think, I could stop working and just do this. That's how much money you were making?
Well, my job, my father died, and then I sold the business that we were in, and then I started doing this full time.
Got it.
When I was in my early 30s.
Okay.
And
only
the answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes. But only bookmaking. You don't play cards. You don't do anything else.
I do play poker and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm not a bookmaker. I'm just a bettor. I just bet.
Right.
That's it. So I've always been just a bettor.
Okay.
I'm not a bookmaker.
So now you move on. You're making money with that. Father passes away. You now go in full time.
It's a full-time job. And in order to do it right, it's a full-time job.
And is it a full-time job doing the same thing, playing the off numbers, or now
Yes.
it's like,
It's a
okay.
full-time job playing off numbers, looking for off numbers. I don't
Do
care.
you still do off numbers now or no?
Yeah, if you want to jump ahead, well,
I'm just asking. Yes.
there are
Okay.
still off numbers.
So
Yes, there's
give
still-
me kind of the goods. Now your father passes away. You sell
the business. Now I'm just doing this full
time
with my then
and you're
partner.
making enough money. Were you married at the time? Have kids or anything?
No.
Okay.
Not that.
It's just
early
you.
third, just me. And my daughter.
And you're not spending money on cars, women, nothing.
No, I really
just
didn't have any-
stacking it up.
I didn't really have any vices.
Okay.
Like that, no.
Other than this,
Right.
this is kind
But
of a
it was-
vice.
There was really no. We didn't really. There was really no opinion put in. Like, oh, I like the Bears, or this is a. I did. It's a Tuesday. These teams play good on Tuesday. Or they've lost 3 in a row. It was
Right.
just bad numbers.
Right.
Bad
You're not
numbers.
Rosenthal like saying like, oh, the grass seems a little greener
Right. No,
today.
they play good on turf.
Right.
Could give 2 craps. Right?
Okay.
I mean, we did want to be on dogs, specifically road dogs,
Okay.
if we could. But if we were on a home favorite, we really didn't want to be on home favorite. So our bet size was smaller.
Do you have brothers or sisters?
Sister.
A sister. Did anyone ever say to you like, hey, this is kind of crazy. You're gambling full time. This isn't a good idea.
Yeah, they kind of thought it was interesting, and they didn't. As long as no one, I mean, I would always say, no, we're not hurting anyone.
Right. And
We
you're
got
making
stiff.
money.
I got stiff for millions and millions of dollars along the way.
Yeah.
But 11 was bigger. 11 we overcame 11 being bigger than 10. We overcame that with just taking off numbers and being sharp and reading the screen
And
that I
going
talked
against the
about.
general public.
And
which
during that time
Betting against
period,
general public,
did you
yes.
ever have one year that was just a shit year, like you just got beat, or no? You've
No, I mean,
always.
we took some big hits as far as bookmakers stiffing us.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's 2 ways you could bet, and
Right.
now you're in the Caribbean, and there's 2 ways to bet.
Yeah.
You can either bet on credit, which is much preferable. So you have to establish yourself, and we had a really good reputation. We paid, and we had credit lines with just a lot of bookmakers in the Caribbean. Some bookmakers you had to post up, and that was fine too. So we would send them 10, 20, 30,000.
Until they went out of business, and then
We got left holding the
Right,
bag. But
right.
they had numbers that were to our liking, off numbers that we had to post up. So there's 2 ways to bet, either on credit or post up. So we were all constantly sending money to the Caribbean, moving money around. But before you knew it, we had 40 or 50 bookmakers.
Right.
Some that we hardly used, and some that were our main go-to bookmakers because they had.
And these
Well,
idiots
no.
are never talking to each other like, hey, I got this guy Gould who's crushing us.
No, I don't think so. They all had their own business. I mean,
Right.
they might have had fun. They're looking to grow their own business in Costa Rica or Curacao. But
they didn't have
we
enough
got
time
kicked
by
out
the
of
time
their-
he put a
we got
bet in
kicked
with
out of
one
those
guy.
offices, too.
How are they possibly going to change the line? I mean,
No, not changing the line, just like having a conversation. Like, sometimes like I'm a lawyer. I don't prefer other lawyers like sit down and chat with them. I have friends that are, but on occasion we'll sit down and we'll be like, hey, I just had this client, Bob Smith, and somebody will say, oh, Bob Smith, I had him 10 years ago. The guy was out of his mind.
yeah.
But like those kind of conversations happen. And I'm just wondering, sometimes through bookmakers, especially when there's bookmakers in the same area and someone's crushing them,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I got a guy named Gould. He's really beating
Well, like
me
he
up.
said, he's going to say, hey, Brian, do you have any bookmakers that I can bet through?
Right.
So
did you ever use, so did you always say, hey, my name's Gould, or did you use
no. We were,
yeah.
I was Alan from
AK.
Florida. Alan
Okay.
from Florida.
Oh, Alan from Florida.
There was no.
There's no last names.
They knew that they were
Sometimes
going out
there
of
was a few-
business with him, or they were going to make a lot of money, or that's it.
I mean, a few bookmakers. I mean, they really had such bad numbers they would kick us out after a certain amount of dollars that we would win. I would have him go in, open this account. I'll fund it. You open the account.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't do it.
10 or,
No, just kidding.
10 or 15 people that would go in and,
Right.
just because we weren't going to take no for an answer. If you're putting a line out there, and you have off numbers, soft numbers, we're betting it.
Got
I
it.
don't care. Hopefully it's with me. If you kick me out, my girlfriend's going in, my friend's
Right.
going in,
Right.
Mike's going in, but I'm going to bet with you.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm betting with you.
I'm not going to do it. There's no probable cause
betting with
affidavit
you.
here.
I'm not doing it either.
No, I'm not doing anything.
Well, I'm just telling you, off numbers lose. Plain and simple.
Okay.
Over time. Eventually, lines became, now with the internet getting better, and those guys even dried up a little bit.
Right.
They went out of business because there's other people like me.
Right.
I didn't invent this.
Right.
Everyone's going to find the soft numbers eventually. They'll go out of business. They'll merge.
So you lost some money just from them ripping you off.
Yes. Oh, millions.
Right.
Millions.
So you-
and you can't call the cops.
Millions.
Like,
No.
what happens?
You just
And
have
you just
to-
suck it up.
I mean, we tried our best to collect it.
What's the most amount of money you've ever posted up with a bookmaker?
We've had a couple hundred, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars with some bookmakers.
That they lost, that they ran out on, or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
had millions of dollars with accounts that I might as well have it at TD Bank. It's just as solid, literally just as solid.
Right. But there's some that they went out of business.
Right. Well, they have airport games.
They had what?
Airport games. So I'll give you an example.
Mike doesn't know what that is. Go ahead.
An
Explain
airport,
it for people like
Yeah,
Mike.
dumb it down for
an
me.
airport game.
Dumb
So,
it
for
down.
example, a Super Bowl. This is going back to 2000 or 2001. St. Louis played the greatest team on turf, or what? New England, right? The first time New England won the Super Bowl. The line was 14. Everyone's using 14. Everyone's using 14.
And some jerk off says,
Your phone?
I mean,
Well, I
you
sent
couldn't
you
even
that
find
thing
13
earlier.
and a half.
right.
They wanted to lay the
sent you
favorite
those
St. Louis.
questions.
Well, this one bookmaker was using 13. Aces Gold was the name of the bookmaker. They were in Curacao. They're using 13. You could bet them 30,000. They moved the line, nothing. Everyone was
Kept the
everyone was
line.
betting St. No, it was the other way around. Everyone was they used a high number. It was 14 and a half or 15.
Got it.
They were using 15. So everyone was betting New England.
Right.
No one was laying the favorite.
Right.
You could lay 14. They had 15. So they had I don't know what they had on the game. More money, far more money than they had. Well, New England won the game outright, and they just got on the plane and left. They were done.
They weren't paying anybody. So how much do you think they got away with?
Well, whatever they
Millions.
Yeah, they just stiffed. I mean, I think we had 150, 200,000.
And there's no way to get them.
I mean, I know where they. I mean, this was 25 years ago. I mean, I know where the owner lived. I mean, who knows if he's still alive? No,
right.
It's not history.
Right.
No.
Did you ever put action on a game that you knew was fixed?
I love that question because here's what I feel before you answer the question.
And then I want to know what does the general public not know about that? Because I know for a fact. Never mind.
I like that.
I didn't say anything.
I like that Mike ruins it with a compound question. Let's just
Don't worry,
start
we're going to cut that out.
I know. Let's just start with the first one.
Start with that
So-
question. That was a
so-
good question I had earlier.
I always feel like I'm watching a game. I'm not a big sports bet guy. Like I'll play cards and stuff like that, but I'm not a big sports bet guy. I had a friend who was like a genius with basketball, tennis. He would bet ping pong. Like he knew, like if ping pong was like, they're playing some ping pong game in Russia, right? And he would know. And I think those are the most rigged games in the world. But when I'm watching some of these games and the spread is like 3.5, no one is good enough to get that spread. Like, and it's 3 seconds left, and the guy takes, for no reason at all, the guy takes a 3-pointer. Like they're leading by 89 to 80, and you're not going to win the game. But at 2 seconds left, he shoots a 3-pointer, he scores, and then it blows all the lines.
By the way, that's happened every time I gamble.
I feel like that is so fixed, and then the guys that are calling the games, they're like not calling traveling. LeBron James walks for 3 miles, and they don't call it. Like I just feel it's such bullshit. So whenever I watch those games, I feel like somebody is betting on this game, and these guys are getting a piece of the action, or they know something. It's just too much coincidence to get a game that perfect to say this is what the spread's going to be, and it goes off exactly like that. The times that I've made bets where it's a total blowout, it's a 3-point game, but they win by 20. I don't even think that's ever happened. Maybe one time in my life. So tell me what you think about rigged games, and tell me what you think about games being fixed.
Well, I think it's more prevalent now. I mean, with the college kids that don't have any money.
Right.
I have bet a game that I believe to be fixed. Yes, it was not a college game, but I'm sure it's out there. I just don't know about it. I really don't. I would be honest. I don't know about it.
And it's just too much money. There's too much money floating around. The internet's there. It's just too much dough, especially in college games. Like the kid could just miss a tackle and okay, 10 grand. I mean, they don't have to do much.
Yeah.
If it's a game
It's just so easy to do.
And then you got to,
do.
Yeah.
I mean, in the NBA, they used to talk about, this was a long time ago. I mean, you could bet a total in the NBA, over under 200, whatever the spread is. I mean, if you're a point guard and it takes you 6 seconds to bring the ball up the court, now you take 8 seconds and you play your game right and everything.
Right.
You just take 2 seconds off every possession. I mean, no
that's
one's going to know.
Right. That's all you got to do.
Take up 2 seconds.
That's why I think it's such bullshit.
You're going to lose sometimes, but you're going to win most of the time. If you just take 2 seconds off the clock
Right.
on a 24-second clock, you're
The
gonna,
the only time they ever get busted, this is what I've noticed, and they've been busted here and there in the past, and now refs or someone gets busted. It's when someone gets greedy and bets like too much. You know, it's like, oh, I'm gonna bet 400 grand on here. I'll take, for instance, and this bothers me, this case, because I think it's bullshit. Did you see the case where the special forces, I think he's a Delta Force guy, he bet on Maduro, right? That Maduro.
Oh, you
would
told
be-
me that. Yeah.
I think this is a bullshit case, and I'm going to tell you why, and you tell me your opinion, because I want to know your opinion on this. This guy goes on Polymarket. He sees that, oh, okay, I get certain odds if Maduro's not in power. He knows that they're going to have a mission against Maduro, but like, who knows if that's going to come off right? It is a 99% chance that fails. Like, think about it. You're like Batman, getting someone out of Japan. Remember?
Yeah.
So they're going into a country, right? A specialized force to grab the president of that country and get out with him alive, not thinking anything's going to happen.
Who even put a line out there for that?
Well, it's Polymarkets.
They
They
do.
put out crazy
and
lines.
as you know, that could be called off at the 11th hour.
Correct. Not only could it be called off, how about the plane getting shot down? How about them not making it? How about not being able to get him? I mean, this guy's got a whole army. So, like, he bet on himself, and then they're like, oh, he violated SEC. They're ridiculous charges. To me, I don't think it should be charged. If anything, maybe he gets a court martial for improper something. But if you're betting on yourself, I think it's a ridiculous thing. I don't feel that is a rigged bet. And if they feel that it is a rigged bet, where's the illegality in the rig? Because anything could happen.
Yeah.
Opinion.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
It's ridiculous. That guy should never be charged. Mike, what do you think? Mike hates the government, by the way. No, I don't. Mike is not a fan of the government. He does like certain people in the government, but he doesn't like governmental
Bodies.
authority. He's got a
Not the
problem.
Justice
I don't like any kind of
got
Department. It's the
authority.
Just Us Department.
I like
The only
see what he
authority
just
I
said?
like is my wife's authority over me.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I like that. I like that as well.
She's cheering.
But it's very true that, there are certain cases that I feel, especially when it comes to gambling and stuff, and there's been a couple cases recently. They're busting these poker games. They're busting as gambling becomes more prevalent, it's really hard, I think, to get a jury that says, wow, we really feel strongly about this. This guy was taking bets on dogs, taking bets on horses. Like,
That's what happened in my case.
what happened? Tell me what happened in your case. See, this is where we get
I got
the goods.
Well, we're going
Yes.
ahead a little bit.
Who
but
cares? Let's
That's
jump
okay, we'll
around a
jump
little
around.
bit.
In the beginning, I couldn't jump
Well,
around.
that's
I wanted
because-
to get into
Yeah,
it.
that's because I like making fun of you.
Well,
Go ahead.
He's done with the foreplay.
2003.
I'm done.
a lot-
It's enough.
we changed our approach. We started betting a lot bigger in from 2005 to 2013, a lot bigger. And I'm just a bettor and not a bookmaker.
Right.
And I'm not betting $100 a game. I'm not betting $1,000 a game. I'm betting a lot more than that.
How much?
Well, we were part of a group.
So just give me a number. What are you? It's a secret now? You already got charged.
$250,000.
$250,000. Okay. God, that's
Not
what
all for me.
That's what Mike's made in his
Not all
lifetime.
for me.
Okay. go ahead.
That wasn't what I was on. That's not what I had.
Look,
As long as I work for Brad Cohen, I make nothing.
Listen,
so it
to
doesn't
me. Mike's
matter.
already stuttering. You said a big number there. He's
That's not what I had.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I thought that's
Our
unfathomable.
group.
Okay.
So that's how we bet.
Sure.
So 2013, we're betting a lot of money, and
The MIT gang.
yeah.
So when you're putting 250,000 on a game, the line's moving, right? How does that work?
Well, we would ideally like the line not to move. We would not want to put a footprint on the line, but invariably, yes. It has
You're the
no
reason
choice.
why I could never get the number I needed to win.
It's just going to move. There's,
He's the reason.
Maybe.
There's no bookmakers that are taking very few. There's a couple. There was a couple, but most bookmakers, a big bet is 10,000 or 5,000. But most people take 1,000, 2,000. So in order to bet what we needed to bet, you needed 150 bookmakers.
So
which we
there
had.
was not one bookmaker you were betting 250 with.
No
No shot.
No, there was.
No, what do you mean now? There's a bookmaker in Las Vegas. He was he was just brought up on trial. He just came home, but he was with the Otani, that whole thing where
Yeah,
they were he
yeah.
was betting $1 million, $500,000 a game.
Yeah, you might. What's the difference? The guy's never going to win.
What do you mean? He just came home from where?
Just came home from prison.
Holy Jesus.
They charged.
So
they
you
charged
didn't
the
represent
bookmaker.
him. That's for
Listen,
sure.
No, I didn't represent him, but he's a pretty good guy. Like I've been watching like some of his stuff. He's got some content out there. He's a pretty good guy. But what was interesting about his case was that they're insisting that the baseball player knew nothing about, this other guy gambling for him. I think it's bullshit. Like they're protecting the guy. The guy is like the number one guy in that plays baseball. Yeah. So it's like in Japan, he's a god. So obviously they're going to say, oh no, it was this little guy here who was taking all, and then you go after the bookie, who's taking the bets. He's got no idea whether or not this guy's stealing money or not. But they got him for bookmaking and this other shit. I think he served like 12 months, 14 months, but it's still a bullshit case. Go ahead.
No, so Brad can't fathom this because he still has his same dollar he earned when he was 5 years old on his wall framed. So he can't fathom this.
I'm not working anymore.
Explain how you get 250,000 on 100 and different. How do you spread that across? What type of system?
Right.
You must have for that.
Phones all over the place.
Well,
computers.
So we're betting. I'm part of a group. My job is to get bookmakers, which I have 100 bookmakers, 120. Who knows?
Right. And you keep them in a little black book.
I have no.
No, on your phone.
On a piece of paper.
Okay, right now you have 120 you can bet?
No. The guy already got charged.
Right.
So what are you trying to do? Now
I'm trying to get a PC affidavit.
There's another guy, a podcaster. That's what he's doing. Go ahead.
I'm at my house, and my partner is a big bookmaker in the Caribbean, and he's also a big bettor.
Okay.
I have nothing to. Obviously, I know he's a bookmaker. Of course, I know. But he wears two hats.
Yeah.
He's a bettor. I'm dealing with him as a bettor. So we're on the phone all day on Skype, and we're going over games.
Skype. Remember that? Oof.
Go ahead. Right.
Dating myself.
Jesus, we're old.
That's okay. You're on Skype.
And we're going over games, and
Mike still has a flip phone.
We're ironing out games. Sometimes if the line moves, we have to push the line back. We were betting the NBA, baseball, and a little bit of the NFL. So it's a full-time job. 80 hours a week.
Of course. I mean, you're calling. Who's in charge of the calls? Who's in charge of placing the bets?
I did the betting.
So you're calling 100.
I'm not in charge at this point now. My friend, who's a bookmaker, a big bookmaker, it was a sharp bookmaker. He had the best talent betting into him. So he knew for years this guy's beaten the NBA for 8 years. Well, I'm gonna bet for him. So if say he wanted 15,000 on an NBA game, the handicapper, my friend would take the bet, and now we'd go out and bet 250. He didn't give it, as long as he got his $15,000 bet, he was done. Now we'd go out and bet 250, whatever we
on the same bet.
On the same bet.
Now he wasn't playing soft numbers. He was playing with that. He did real.
Now we're in the business of handicap.
Got it.
These guys that have
real guys
that are handicapped. We're handicapping.
Right.
I'm jumping ahead, but
Lefty Rosenthal.
We're betting handicap games.
I met him once.
Yeah,
he
lived
nice
in
guy.
Boca.
Yeah, he lived in Boca.
Really?
He worked at a place named Crocs.
Yeah, he's been dead.
Yeah, he's been dead
Crocs
for years.
On Federal Highway.
No. It was I don't know if it was called Crocs. It was in Boca. He was the manager of this like sports bar. I met him. He told me to bet the Jets game. I didn't even know who he was.
Palmetto.
Yes.
Power line of Palmetto Crocs. I do remember that.
Like Boca, not Boca West, but one of those.
One of those things. I didn't even know who he was. He told me bet the Jets. Yeah. Told me bet the Jets on this one. I go, the Jets always lose. He's like, trust me, bet the Jets. They're going to cover.
So in order to be a bettor for.
What'd you put on it? $2?
Nah, like
50 cents.
Same $5.
He went on the limb. He bet $1.50.
$10 maybe.
So in order for
I'm going to go out on the limb here and bet $1.
In order for us, this guy
Watch
to be
this. That's
in
Brad
order for
Stop interrupting the guy. Go ahead.
He's not. He's fine.
Sorry. Sorry, Mr. Gould.
These guys had a history of beating the NBA for years and years and
Yeah.
years. Handicapping.
Right.
Now, we're betting the lines now have become pretty uniform. The line is 4.
Okay.
Whatever it is. The Heat are -4. I'm using that as an example. So we're going to go out and bet the Heat -4.
Right.
And you just can't call, hey, give me 250,000.
Right. You got $1,000 here, $2,000 here.
Right. Yeah, 10 grand. So we had, there was certain outs. People watch certain outs because they're sharp. And if they move a little bit, if they sneeze, people pay attention to them. So if they go from 4 to 4.5, something's out there. Something's going on with the line. So we had to make sure the line was ironed out and ready for us to bet. And it took about 15 minutes to set up to bet a game and 5 seconds to bet a game. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
What software did you use to push the button at one time?
Well, we had an
to put
auto better. So we had all these outs. We called it an auto better, where we put all the outs in a computer.
And then hit
and hit a button. But that was probably 95% of our betting. Then there were some big outs that we had to make sure that we got.
When you say outs, people
Bookmakers, as places that took bets or outs.
Okay.
No, this Mike.
Right. So
I'm
You're a real
I'm talking
rookie.
for the
fans.
you have to
Yeah, for
call
the
on the
fans.
phone.
Like you have any.
bookmakers, you had to call on the
Bookmarks. She calls it bookmarks.
phone. Same thing.
Yeah.
You had to call on the phone. Sometimes I made deals.
wheels
with
are coming off.
I made deals with certain bookmakers. Please, there was a screen, so they had their lines were posted on a screen. Please give me 4 seconds before you move the line on the screen, and they would do that for as a courtesy.
Oh God.
Oh wow.
So I call up. I had 2 phones or maybe 3, and I call them up, press the button at the exact right amount of time. Probably make 4 phone calls within 10 seconds, and press a button, and then just sit back and watch. You could see what's going on. You gave a parameter. I only want the Heat -4. If this certain bookmaker has 4.5, I don't want the line. I only want to lay 4 or less, 3.5 or 4.
Do you have a girlfriend at this time? Because
I was
you're
married.
watching you were married.
Yeah.
And you're watching games constantly?
No.
You never watched a game.
Nope.
He knows the
it was on
outcome.
in
What
the
are you talking
background.
about? You know who
I'll
you're
tell
talking
that's a
to?
good question.
See, a good
that's a good
question.
He knows
question.
the outcome.
Enough.
It took
Go
about
ahead.
15 minutes to set up to bet the game, 5 seconds to bet the game, and then it took about a couple minutes to recap what we got in the game. So I had to give the guy's bet.
Right.
He wanted 175,000 on the game, and then I had 75 to give to me and a few other people that I, were part of my group. And so it took. So then we got to get ready to bet the next game.
Right.
And this went on from say 6 to 10 at night on a typical NBA night.
Right.
No, I mean the game might have been on in the background, but no, we weren't watching the game.
And
my partner,
the wife is like, oh, what does your husband do for a living? He works the phones.
Full-time job.
Right,
And-
but let's say your wife is with the other girls, and they go, oh, what does your husband do?
Well, I couldn't hide it. I was sitting in my office in my house. And,
So she just says you're a gambler.
I'm betting, yeah, but I'm not betting. It's
great.
I'm not betting 100 a game. I'm not betting 500.
Right.
And my partner,
So they say you're a professional
a
gambler,
professional sports bettor.
a professional sports bettor.
Right. So,
You didn't bet multiple games. You're dialing in on 1 or 2 games.
well, on a typical NBA
Yeah,
night, no, there was 6
couple
or 8
games.
bets, size and totals.
Couple games.
Sides and totals.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it took a while to bet these games. It wasn't quick.
Right.
It took us to set
Where
them
are
up.
you living at the time?
The same house I'm living in now, Plantation.
Plantation. Okay. And you're making these bets. You're married at the time. The wife doesn't really care as long as money's coming in.
Money's coming in.
Okay. And
Like Brad's wife. She doesn't care.
she
Money's
doesn't
coming
care.
in.
She doesn't care.
even like
That's why she doesn't care that I'm friends with him.
Yes, exactly.
She's like, whoever you want to be
My
friends
only
with.
friend.
he's-
Company you keep.
Right.
So yeah, that was so. And my partner, who was a big bookmaker, a huge bookmaker, and again a bettor, and that's where I was dealing him with. He knew nothing about if you, for example, he knew LeBron James or he knew Dwayne Wade, but when he or Shaq, that's really it. I'm
Right.
telling you, he didn't know. If you said, I don't know, name a Jaylen Brown, he had no clue. who he
So-
was. No clue.
So how did he know? How did he?
he had handicappers that bet and beat the NBA 6, 7, 8 years in a row.
Oh, he would take their bets.
Who do you want? Yeah, so,
Got
all right,
it.
we're betting the Heat tonight.
Oh, that's the
And we would
secret
go over
sauce.
that. We would go over that game in the morning. Hey, Alan, we're going to go out and bet the Heat. So we would also, in order to get this 250, we had to bet in Asia too. So we had accounts in Asia,
Right.
Singapore,
Sure.
Kuala Lumpur, whatever it was.
Sure.
Betting them. So and they were.
That's
very
where
quiet.
Mike's next wife's going to come from.
I hope not.
Just kidding. A little joke. It's a joke. Don't worry.
So
There you
that was
go.
part of our. It was a whole day's process to bet a game.
Got it.
And if lines moved a little bit, we had to push them back. Sometimes we had to bet 10,000 the wrong way to get the line back in order.
Got
Get
it.
the line back in.
And at some point, your door gets kicked in.
2000.
And that's where Brad comes in.
No, I don't.
Brad type. Of 2013, I got a knock on the door, and there was 15 people in windbreakers at my door.
Right. FBI windbreakers.
And that's not good.
Never good.
And we had a lot of people in their neighborhood
Can we
that I'd
talk
never
to
seen
you?
before walking their dogs.
So,
They were
so,
all
so
like,
you.
well,
So,
yeah,
so how
that's
did that affect the neighbors, your wife's friends? Who said,
I mean,
I thought
you know,
your
it wasn't-
husband bet. What happened?
Did
I
they
thought he
pull
was
up
just
in
a gambler."
vans?
Yeah, it was 7 in the morning.
Right.
7
That's what they, okay.
in the morning.
Just so the audience knows, they always raid between 5 and 7 in the
7
morning,
you know,
and they feel like that's
with
a good
guns,
idea.
with
Right.
Guns.
Guns.
I've never owned a gun in my life.
Right.
You know,
They just want to make a show of force.
They didn't tear up my house or do anything.
That's interesting.
They
took all the computers.
took all the computers. The first thing they went for was the cameras in the house. They took them down.
Yeah, well, they always do that because they don't want you to see what they're doing.
Right. They put me in a room. They went over throughout the house, and you know, they were as professional as they can be.
That's just the way that it is. Right. Then after they scare you with the guns and everything like that, then they sit you down. They say, "Hey, listen, this is why we're here."
They arrested me, the guy that was four of us. There was 4 of us,
all at the same day,
all at the same time. And there was another parallel investigation out of another Oklahoma city, and they arrested 30 people there.
And it was IRS, FBI. Right.
Yep.
And and then there's you have a safe in the house 100%.
I opened it for them.
Right.
They were going to get it open whether I opened it or not.
I could just tell him the story that I don't know.
Listen,
because
Alan,
it's the same thing.
We're going to listen. Alan, hang on a sec. We're going to excuse you because Brad's just going to tell the folks what's going on.
And I'm going to tell you why.
We don't need you anymore.
Tell you why.
Brad knows.
I've done this 30 years.
Okay, you get. I'm not.
I've represented bookies, I've represented gamblers, I've represented drug dealers, alleged. I've represented a lot of people. It is the book of the FBI, ATF, IRS is the same on every case. And it's that they come in, they do a show of force. They come in between 5 and 7 o'clock. Everybody always has a safe in their house. They say, hey, listen, you have a choice. You can either open it now for us or we'll drill it. And everybody says, okay, I'll open it for you. I don't want you to ruin it. And they open it. And when you're a gentleman, sometimes they'll take not everything. They'll take the money. They'll take the jewelry. They'll take any kind of computer paperwork that you have. They'll take your passport. But they'll generally, like, if your wife has like a family heirloom, they might leave that if your wife says it's family heirloom. Mm-hmm. It's really funny because sometimes they'll say, and there was a movie where if you're wearing something, they won't take it. That was like in the 70s. Like if you're wearing a Rolex, they're taking it. That's no longer the same. They're taking your Rolex. If you know, Mike's been through this a couple times. So right. So, you know, baseball card collection.
One baseball card. Yeah, huge collection. It's one card.
They took one card. Which card did they take? Mickey Mantle. Thank you. I mean, listen, do you want me to just tell you the story?
I don't even need to be here.
No, and the reason why they do that is because they're like, okay, this is a good one.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, this is
Did
what
you get
happened.
that back?
So,
you got it back.
Yeah.
Did you know this was coming? Did you know that this was going to happen?
No, I had no idea.
No idea.
No idea.
I mean,
most people have an idea.
I mean, I was up on a wire for 45 days.
Sure.
So they know everything.
It's already done.
If they're listening to you for 45 days, they know everything, personal, business.
Case
they
is
know
over.
everything about you.
Case is over.
They know more about you than I
They've been
do.
listening to you for 45 days?
45 days I was on wire. Yep.
They've been investigating. That doesn't happen like that.
It does, because generally what happens is they're investigating someone else and he gets caught on the wire and then they hit him with the wire.
I was not the only one on the wire, but
right.
There was they had me on a wire. They had a wire for 45 days.
Right.
So they knew everything. They knew where I shit. Excuse me. They knew where I eat.
Yeah.
They knew everything.
So generally that's what happens. And then they put it, once they start, then they put a tracker on your car. They follow you where you go, where you do money drop-offs or money pickups or bank accounts. They already got all the records. Like when it comes to booking, when it comes to booking, when it comes to gambling, it's a relatively easy case to prove because it's a lot of paperwork and there's a lot of money moving and it's impossible to hide all the money. Like if you're making small bets, it's different. But if you're not getting paid in cash, if someone's not showing up at your door every week with a bag full of cash, which again is probably pretty easy to follow too, but not as easy as if you're getting direct deposits or you're wiring money or, you know, it's just
what was your line of defense defending him? What would that have been if you were the attorney that he hired?
It's an almost impossible case to defend when you come to that. So there's a couple different ways to do it. It's like a jury nullification. Oh, this guy's not as big as they say he is, but he was pretty big. So like that's a really hard one to sell to a jury. It's like, he's a guy who gambles on the weekends, but he's doing it full time. So like the smaller guys are easier to defend. than the bigger guys.
I'm not
It's
a
just,
bookmaker.
I know that, but I'm just saying.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm,
you're
I'm
not.
I'm using marijuana. I'm not selling marijuana.
Correct, but it's just that argument.
But you're not paying taxes.
But
and that's
here's
the
the
biggest
thing.
thing.
That argument flies with lower end guys, right? That the guy's a user. He's not a seller. When it comes to bigger guys that are making bigger bets, and also it's a pool
It
where
just
you
attracts attention.
it just attracts attention, too much money. Now, what was smart for you is, and generally this is where it makes it more difficult for defense attorneys, is when they're going out buying Ferraris and fur coats. And nowadays these kids are that stupid that like everything's on the internet, right? So if a kid's a gambler and he's doing, now really it's not as big to bust those guys as it used to be, because you can gamble anywhere. You can go to, Mohegan Sun, you can go to Hard Rock, some guys still do it online or have a bookmaker because they're doing different bets. But these kids are just so stupid that, if they do win money illegally or they do something illegally, it's on the internet. They're driving around Mercedes and Ferraris. They're 22 years old and, they got 4 girlfriends. They're buying them bags and, all kinds of stupid shit. So what he did that was right. That's why I was asking him is, he's living in Plantation. He's probably living in a nice house, but nothing crazy. He's driving a decent car, but nothing crazy. He's not buying fur coats for his wife and crazy shit. He's just living his life. So they were probably disappointed that he didn't have as much of a lifestyle as they would.
Because again, I was
Right. You're just a regular guy.
I drove.
But how much did they get out of your safe?
They got like 1.5 million.
There you go. And that's what they want.
Well, it wasn't in my safe. It was.
Right, but that's what they want. So the long story short is what makes cases sexy for the feds
Is that Brad Cohen shows up.
that also makes it, that does make it
100%.
sexy. Everybody gets happy.
No, my attorney was there.
Who's your attorney?
It was Bruce Lyons.
Oh, and I love Bruce, by the way. Bruce is the
Like a
greatest.
father figure to me.
He's a great guy. Bruce is a very old school guy. I don't think he practices
retired.
anymore.
He
He's
lives in
retired.
Carolina.
He retired. Bruce
If you had to do it again, would you hire Brad or Bruce?
Bruce is very good. Listen, Bruce is very. I don't want to put you in that
Oh my God, I've
position.
never seen him.
I
give
don't want to put you
anybody
in that position.
credence.
Bruce is a great guy, old school Broward
Yeah.
guy. He's like 6'4", and just a gentleman, like a real nice.
It's a big presence.
He's got a big presence and a great guy. So you had a great lawyer.
I did.
But long story short is what makes cases sexy for the feds is the Ferraris, the fur coats, the money, because they seize that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what pays for future cases. So like if you actually audited the government and see how much money they made from seizures, it's billions.
Billions.
Because with the Bitcoin stuff and everything else, seizing money now, it is a bottom line
That's a job.
budget.
Yeah.
They're budgeting based on what they seize. Let me put it this way: even states where local police departments are putting in their budget what they seize.
Yeah.
So like, oh, I seized 300,000 last year. What's the budget this year? We'll put in the 300, but we'll
License
see.
to steal.
Yeah. It's the money. It's always the money. The town,
It goes
the
into
feds, it goes
the
into
government coffers.
Right.
Who knows who keeps it?
goes into the kitty. So like, it's very attractive. And also it's a badge of honor for the FBI agent that busts a big,
But the thing about what I
nothing-
was charged with, and it's victimless. There was no victims, as you know,
Right,
as a
yeah,
criminal
listen,
defense attorney.
right.
Victims. No one lost any money. There was no victims in my case.
right.
And the ironic thing is, the thing that I was charged with in 2013 is legal today.
Right.
It's legal. You can go down. You can go 20 minutes away and bet at the Hard Rock. It's
Correct.
legal today.
Correct.
It's legal today.
Correct. So like, that's why I say as the society keeps moving forward, there's illegalities that were illegal even 5 years ago with Bitcoin, right? So there was guys for Bitcoin, and I always find this interesting. There's guys for Bitcoin. Their job is to convert Bitcoin into money and then wire you the money. So let's say, and I know this because I've had car dealerships or boat dealerships. Boat dealerships and car dealerships, they don't want to have their own wallet, right? Because I'm not in the business of converting Bitcoin. Right. I'm going to sell you a boat. It's $1.1 million. I don't want 1.1 million in Bitcoin. So tomorrow it's worth 900,000. I just want to get wired.
I'm not gambling. I'm not gambling on this boat.
Correct.
It could be worth 1.3, but I'm not gambling.
I just want my
Just
1.1
wire it to
million.
me.
Correct. So what they do is, and what they used to do is, they employ or they know a third-party vendor, just like MasterCard or Visa,
Right.
and they say, hey, listen, pay Mike. It's not Mike, just so in case the feds are listening. Mike is clean.
Yes.
So
Not another probable cause
not another
affidavit in this
problem
room.
for Mike. But they would say like, hey, pay Mike. This is who we use. Mike will then wire us the money, and then here's your boat.
Right.
So they would pay Mike. Mike would wire the money, and there was the boat. Well, years ago, number one is just wiring the, sending the Bitcoin to Mike and Mike sending the money to the boat company. They'd consider that money laundering, number one. Then number two is they'd go after Mike saying you're acting like a bank. So it's banking violation.
Oh, God.
And this was just like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Now, because Bitcoin kind of has evolved, this administration is more Bitcoin friendly.
Regulated.
They understand that that's how it works. Nobody wants to take, if you're a business, I don't want to take Bitcoin. I just want to, my price is 10,000. Just send me my 10 grand.
That's your fee. That's your
Right. That's it. So it's interesting because now that's legal. It wasn't legal 5 years ago. So with you, that's a very good point. Gambling now is legal in almost every state, right? At some level.
Yes.
It's at some level, almost every state has gambling. And just society has changed that way. And now you're sitting here with a nice conviction on your record, convicted felon. You're limited in what you can do, voting and carrying a gun. I don't think you care about that, but like different things that you're now, they have taken that away from you in something now that is legal.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my why I want to segue for 1 minute. Have you put in for like clemency, pardon paperwork or anything like that? Because I always feel, and I'm a big proponent of pardon and clemency under any administration. This administration has been very good to a lot of people and the way that they handle pardons and clemencies. But, whenever I see a case that's like 10 years old, 5 years old, 8 years old, and it's not even a crime now, that was a crime. Those are such ideal.
That cries for
Yeah.
pardon.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, that case wouldn't have got charged today.
A victimless crime. Literally a victim.
A victimless
Not one
crime.
person lost $1.
Right.
Not one person.
You had zero restitution.
Zero. I didn't have,
Right.
No.
Right. And it's like those type of crimes that were at the time, it's so very important to me, like those cases get looked at.
Yeah.
And it's like, through any administration, that should be the real crux of how pardons and commutations take place. That's my opinion. So have you ever applied for one or not?
I have not.
You really should. You really should. Mike, not so much. No, I'm just kidding, Mike.
We'll cut that out.
That'll be on the editing floor.
No, but you should. You should consider that. And
We
anybody,
actually talked about that yesterday, and I didn't even mention it to Brad because he asked me about that.
yeah, and
You
anybody
asked me about that.
watching, they should go on the DOJ website. It's like you have to have an attorney. It's always good to, because there's certain ways that you fill that out, and there's certain attachments that make it more attractive.
Certain things you need to be, you need your hand held, and that might be one of them.
Yeah, and it's like, and I always tell this to clients. Some clients will fill it out on their own, and they'll come to me and they'll say like, hey, I filled this out. I do a lot of pro bono work in that field. And they'll say, hey, I filled this out, and they'll show it to me. And, it's like, it's a non-lawyer filling out the paperwork. It's handwritten or something. And I say, hey, listen, this is how I would do it. These are the attachments I would do. I give them and I have kind of like a form, like appendix and everything like that. And I just give it to them because I want to make sure that it goes in the right way. And that, because when it does go in the right way, it gets more attention, than a handwritten thing. But it's an interesting area. So you go in 2013, you end up taking a plea.
Yes, there was four of us, and my other friend, who I hadn't talked about yet. He was he was not let out on bail, so he was kind of driving the case, and he went in and talked, and then I went in and talked. We had a 302 hearing, a 302 meeting,
right?
And soon after that, we just fled out.
And what did you? No time.
Zero. Walked right out. It was the money.
Right.
Money. What else?
What judge did you have?
It was in the Northern District of New York.
Oh, Northern District of New York. So like you end up getting probation.
That's it.
You do your probation and done.
Done.
And then you're still a convicted felon. And then you're still a convicted felon.
And they took a lot of money from me.
Yeah.
And my other friends.
Well, that's the goal.
That was it.
Did anyone serve time on it?
No. The judge, the judge in Oklahoma City, I was not from I followed the case closely, but he was a wonderful judge. They all went to trial in Oklahoma City. They went to trial. And the judge said, what do we, these guys, people are volunteering. This was about a bookmaker that was in Panama. He was in Panama, and he was betting, and they arrested him, brought him back here. People are voluntarily in the United States betting with this guy. What's
Right.
the problem?
What's the problem?
What did he do? He's He's providing a service. He's paying them if they win. He's collecting if they lose. And the jury said, they sent a note to the judge. We don't see anything wrong here. What did the guy do? And, they charged him with racketeering, money laundering. They threw the book at him. He walked, and he was the head of it, and everyone else walked.
That's amazing.
Wow.
See, but that's what I'm saying.
Again,
So you see what I said when he said, "What's your defense?" The defense is trying to get a jury to say,
the
"Hey,
judge, a brilliant judge, not a Castlegar hearing. They had some other hearing. What's the hearing where it's like a pre-trial hearing? I forgot it was some hearing that I went out and I had to testify in Oklahoma City. I don't remember the
Grand jury, pre.
No, not a grand jury.
No, it wasn't a grand. No, it was. And the judge just said, "Man, there was
A good guy."
He got it.
But that's the thing. So like those cases,
he's probably a gambler.
No,
he just got it. Federal cases should be federal cases. Yeah. They shouldn't be glorified state cases. They shouldn't be, the feds should be set up to get violent offenders off the street, to get real guys with real crimes off the street. And that's kind of one of my sticking points. And that's why you said, how do you defend these guys? Jury nullification. And that's what I was saying. You have to get a jury to say, hey, listen, this guy's like, what are we doing here? There's no victim. There was a judge in Broward, Judge Wright. Hilarious guy, right? And Zebedee Wright, and he was just the greatest guy. I think he's still around. He's not a judge.
Sure he's retired.
Yeah, he's retired. But hilarious guy, right? And some people would discount him because he had like a little bit of a southern drawl.
He was a judge, but not. Right. I know who you're talking.
And they would discount what he said, but he had genius rulings. Like he was the one. Now, because of his rulings. You can't call them DUI tests. You have to call them DUI exercises because he said and this is exactly how he talked. This is no test. This is an exercise. And so they would object. They took him up on appeal, and he won. And now everyone has to call it a DUI exercise, not a DUI test, because it's not a test. So, but I would tell you why this is funny about victimless crimes. He used to have an opinion on prostitution. And he would say, who's getting hurt? Like this person getting what they want and this person getting what they want. Who's getting hurt? Who's the victim? Oh, he's like, he would ask they would always go non-jury on those cases because they knew he was the best. Right. And he'd be like, okay, government, call your victim. And the state would be like, Judge, I just have the police officer. Well, he's not the victim. And he had this certain way about him where he wanted victim cases. He didn't want victimless cases. He knew that the government's not there to protect two people that are engaged in something that they want to do, and no one's getting hurt and there's no victims. It's very similar to your case. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. It
just leaves a bitter taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've, as a defense attorney, a criminal defense, you've seen it. You've seen it where, in prostitution or selling marijuana, or it's just, there's no victims.
They're legitimately
there's crimes to charge. I mean, this was a money grab.
Right.
In my opinion, it was just a big money grab. And once you're in the hands of the feds, like I told Mike yesterday,
that's it.
You just try to avoid annihilation.
Yeah.
Okay. With the criminal defense fees and all the other things that you're up against.
Sure.
You still just try to avoid annihilation, and that's it.
I've tried to avoid annihilation, and I've got annihilated.
Come out okay.
No, you got it. You got such a great thing from Brad Cohen. I mean, his prior attorneys were horrible.
Yeah.
Really put him in a position. And then I came in like Superman, and I saved him. He's like Lois Lane. I put him in my arms, and I flew him to freedom. He did. He saved the day.
And
he's heavy too. It wasn't a light lift.
He didn't lift me up. I sat right on his lap, right in that chair. Brad, thank you for telling us about Alan's life.
Let me tell you something. You're welcome.
Yes.
Number one, it's amazing when you've done something so long and you have the experience that I have.
No, it's good. It's always a pleasure to have.
It's actually very funny. This will be a parting shot. It's actually very funny when people come to my office and it's their first time being charged with something. And I say, this is how it's going to go. And I give them the whole map of everything that's going to happen in your case.
Because the guy, you've had 50 people before him sitting in the same chairs.
Of course. And I say, this is exactly how it's going to go. And I give them the whole map. And I say, if you listen to me, it's going to go like this. If you don't listen to me, it's going to go like this. And some of them don't listen to me.
They don't.
And it goes the exact way I tell them it's going to go. And I will part with this one story, which you'll love. I represented a woman who was charged.
Problem.
Well, no, she was very nice, actually. She was charged with pump and dump. like a stock fraud. And there was 11 co-defendants. One of those co-defendants had, God, what is this guy's name? He used to be on Howard Stern all the time. Dominic Barber. Is that his name? Dominic Barber. He was a very well-known attorney in New York. I think he's since passed away. He was a very funny guy, but I go up there for the first hearing, and this Dominic Barber is a deal maker. I could see right away these guys are all going to flip, but he did tell me a funny story. He said, he was completely sober. He said, once when I was really hammered, I bought a Rolls Royce. I go, oh, that's great. I mean, I'm sure you make money. He goes, that's the good news. The bad news is I actually bought two by accident. So I knew he was flipping people. He was like, schmoozer. So I said to her, I go, listen, you have 11 co-defendants. They're all going to flip on you. Like, you're going to be the big fish. And I think I can negotiate a deal for 24 months. You're not going to have to snitch on anybody. It's just, it is what it is. Everyone's going to flip. She says, no, absolutely not. I'm not taking it. Not taking 24 months. I said, okay.
She got 10 years.
Hold on. So I said, this is what I think is going to happen. I think if you don't plea, I think they're going to go after your husband. They're going to say he's a funder and he was backing you and all these things. They're going to charge him because he has a prior already. And it's going to be you two against these 11. She's like, nah, I don't think I'm going to do that, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. So she hired more attorneys, paid more money. Of course, they charged the husband when she says she's going to trial. He has to hire an attorney, pays more money. They're $4 million in the hole in attorneys. Oh, God. These attorneys say a trial is the best thing for you. He actually had a very good attorney who's passed away. His name was Jerry Shardell in New York. I like the guy personally, but he had like $1 million or $2 million for a trial fee. So of course he's saying this is a great trial. They go to trial, they lose. They each get, I think, 8 years. And they were out all that money. Right. So at the end, and I've seen them in the past couple of years, or people have told me about them. They said the one thing they did wrong was not listen.
Not listen.
They said you were giving them the best advice. I said, listen, I don't give people advice because I don't want to go to trial or I do want to go to trial. I just give you the advice of this is what's going to happen.
You've had 50 people sitting before you with exact similar situations.
Yes. That's it.
You've seen it before.
I've seen it all.
You can't beat the feds, so you might as well.
I have beaten the feds.
You know what the fee on a case is when someone is sitting there. You know what work is going to have to be involved in preparing that case.
Yes. So, sometimes people listen and sometimes they don't. I had a great time with Alan Gould, not Gold, but he was gold.
He still is. Thank you, Ali. Let's wrap it up. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Yes.